Shalom, Kal Haloyim, Wahawad, La Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakha Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles at Great Millstone, rule well, honors and salutations to you, Akim, that's doing this work of truth sincerity. Also, I want to say Shalom to the few Akwaf that listen and learn. This is a video involving the covenant, and I'm going to go straight to the point because, you know, you got people that call themselves theologians, pastors, and what have you, all right? But what you people don't understand is that the Heavenly Father made a covenant between Himself and only one nation that He had His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, to create. So, with that being said, this is going to be entitled The Covenants, right? Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. For I am Yahweh, I change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So, right off the bat, the Heavenly Father don't change. And that's something that you wacky-tacky Christians don't understand. Obviously, because you seem to believe that an actual Gentile can get into the covenant or can be saved, which you're so wrong. All right. The book of Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 8, it says, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, the same yesterday and today and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, for it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace. And I'm going to leave it right there because the Most High and the Son don't change, all right? There's a point I want to prove. So, in order for you guys to get an understanding about the Gentiles, if you don't know about the Hellenistic period, and to know that the word Greek and Gentile, all right, when you look it up, as far as when Paul was on his travels doing the ministry, you'll know that he was going to the Israelites and not actual heathen. But that takes a diligent search, looking at words, tracing the etymology of the word, whether it's Latin, Greek, or the actual Hebrew, which we call ancient or Paleo-Hebrew. All right, not Yiddish, not Arabic, not Aramaic, but the actual pure Hebrew. Now, speaking of the covenants, we're going to go to the book of Exodus, the 19th chapter. We're going to begin the first verse, and it reads, In the third month, when the children of Israel were going forth out of the land of Egypt, which is Mizraim, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto the powers, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel. Now notice it said the house of Jacob and the children of Israel. So right off the bat, where was these other nations involved? All right, was they in the wilderness at Sinai, or in the desert of Sinai, or at the mount? Was they there? The answer is absolutely not. Right? No, there was not there. Only the house of Jacob, which is the children of Israel, our people. It goes on to say in verse 4, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. And that's a cut to you Israelites that are into this comedic nonsense. You know, you believe in top ramen, you know, inside joke. You know, talking about this fake god, this deity that go back to ancient Egypt, you know, Amun Ra, which I say top ramen. You know, where was he at when the Most High destroyed the Egyptians? You know, it says, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, which he destroyed the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice, indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. See? So, right here at the mount, this is the Most High making his agreement or covenant or harmonious arrangement, all right, with the children of Israel by using Moses, which Moses was the chosen vessel he used at that time. So, when did the Most High make a covenant with the Edomites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Japhites, the Hamites, Elamites, Ishmaelites, Ashurites? All right. The answer is he never did make the covenant with them. All right. Verse 7. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words, which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh had spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moses, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. So basically, you know, that was it. All right, that was us agreeing to, you know, keep the Most High's covenant. All right, we had made a verbal commitment that we would keep his covenant. Now let's go to I went too far. Let's go to the book of let's go back to the Old Testament. Psalms 50. Psalms 50 and verse 5. And the reason I'm going to this particular precept is because there are certain penalties for breaking the Most High's covenant, which within the covenant you have the law or laws, period, right? You have the commandments, you have the statutes and judgments that are all within this covenant that we were to keep. All right. And when we didn't keep them, we had to do these different sacrifices to make an atonement for our sins. All right. So, Psalms chapter 50, verse 5, it says, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And those that made a covenant with the Most High by sacrifice was us, the children of Israel. If you had certain sins, you would sacrifice a lamb or a goat without blemish. You had the turtle doves, what have you. You had a heifer of the cattle, uh, you know, different things you have to sacrifice for certain sins. You see, because 1 John 3 and 4 tell you that what? Let's go to it real quick. Touch on it real briefly. 1 John 3 and 4 it says, "Whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law." So that's what we know. That's how we know what sin is. Okay, let's go to the blue letter on that. Get that. Just to prove a point. It's a linear. Transgress.
Strong's G 4160. Poieo. Poieo.
Poieo. To make. It says, with the names of things made to produce. Oh, that's the wrong one. I clicked the wrong thing. Try to go transgress. That was it. It's lucky. It says, with the names of things made to produce, construct, form, fashion, etc., to be the authors of the cause, to make ready, to prepare, to produce, bear, shew forth, acquire, to provide a thing for oneself, to make a thing out of something, render one anything, to constitute or appoint one anything, to appoint or ordain one that, declare one anything. Let's see. It's not when you go to the word transgress, let's see here. Yeah, committed and transgressed mean the same thing. Yep. Let's go on the etymology, get a deeper understanding of what transgress means, because it should have said a little more. Transgress. It's not a transgress. Alright, transgress. It says to sin. Step across, step over, climb over, pass, go beyond, across, to walk, go. It says transgress, the definitions of transgress. Act in disregard of laws, rules, contracts, or promises, which is accurate. Alright. It says spread over land, especially along a subsiding shoreline. It says commit a sin, violate a law of the Most High or a moral law, pass beyond limits or boundaries. So, well, when you look into the law was a way to keep boundaries from what? Committing sin. So you didn't go over, all right, to the other side and commit evil or wickedness, so that you will be or refrain from committing sin. You see, so that's what it really means. Break a law or violate a law or contract or rules of the Heavenly Father. Now, let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's see, we're going to go to 4. Deuteronomy 4 and 5. It says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people." So this is, all right, this is the contract, this is the rules that was set before us, or contract, all right, that we were supposed to keep. Okay, and if you would breach the contract, because another word for transgress is like breach. Let's get that real quick. Just type in the word breach. Excuse me. The word breach. Breach, it says a fracture, act of breaking. Right? It says, what else we got? Breaching, opening, gap. Let's see. Figurative sense of infraction, violation, a breaking of rules. Right? The word for laws or rules, right? Opening made by breaking, rupture of friendly relations, violation of public order. So we definitely should say, it says breach. It says a failure to perform some promise, act, or obligation. You know, did I read more? All right. Well, did we say in the Mount, when I read in Exodus 19, all right, Exodus 19 chapter, we agreed to keep, all right, the Most High's covenant that he made between himself and us by the hand of Moses. See? We failed. All right. Let's go to number 2. It says breach, act in disregard of laws, rules, contracts, or promises. Same thing I read in transgress. So basically, it's, in other words, it's a synonym. Well, you see it right there. It says synonyms: transgress, offend, infract, violate, go against, break. So now we have an understanding of that. We broke the contract. All right, we broke the covenant or the agreement. See? Back in Deuteronomy 4, I'm at verse 7. It says, "For what nation is there so great, who had the Most High so nigh to them, as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that had statutes and judgments so righteous as all of this law, which I set before you this day?" You see? And the answer was no other nation. How we prove that? Well, you go to Psalms 147, and it says, Psalms 147 verse 19, it says, "He showed his word unto Jacob, and his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He had not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua." So, you know, no other nation, all right, has the Most High near and dear unto them. Only us. All right, only us. That's why when you go to the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter, now you can understand why we go through what we go through throughout our history. Amos 3 and 1. "Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities." See? We're the only ones that the Most High know on an exclusive or personal level. You see? we had to be punished for our iniquities. You know, our iniquities became great, and so we were punished for them. Yeah, slavery, man. And so we went into these different captivities throughout our history. All right, the Egyptian, Babylonian, Medo-Persian, Assyrian, uh, Greek, Grecian, with the Greek captivity. You got the Greco-Roman, because the Greeks transitioned to the Romans. The Greco-Roman enslavement, where Jacob was being persecuted heavily, and even into today, where you have the Roman Empire being revived through so-called America. And you notice all the hell we caught in the beginning, in the middle, and now we're at the end of this captivity, but we caught pure hell. You see? But the Most High, all right, ultimately, all right, though we broke his covenant, he said that he would what? That he would still, all right, remember his covenant, all right, that he made between who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see? Jeremiah 33, and I'm going to start at 23 and read down to 26. Verse 23, moreover, the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, considerest thou not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Yahweh had chosen, he had even cast them off? Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. Thus saith Yahweh, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them. So for the most High to keep his word, all right, which we know the Most High, all right, is a man that he cannot lie, and for his word's sake, for his good name, all right, he keeps his word, all right, 100%, which he swore unto who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He made a covenant with our forefathers. All right, he made a promise. He made a covenant with our forefathers, and ultimately, that's the reason why we're still around, because that covenant that he made. Because the Most High, if he was not to keep his covenant, that would make him a liar. And we know that the Most High is a man that he should not lie. He cannot lie. So, for our forefathers' sake, he kept his covenant. He remembered that covenant, which is a beautiful thing for us, man. When you think about it, it's like that's a beautiful thing for us. Leviticus 26 and 45. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought. As a matter of fact, let's start a bit. Let's go to verse 42. Leviticus 26 and 42. Then, well, actually, let's go up a bit. Let's get all the meat off this precept. Leviticus 26 and verse 40. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, with their trespass, which they trespass against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me. Well, how do we walk contrary to the Most High? By not keeping that covenant, which is what? The laws, commandments, and statutes, right? Verse 41. And that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham. Will I remember, and I will remember the land. Now, speaking of walking contrary to the Most High, the Most High walking contrary to us, it's simply just when you go to Hosea 5:15. The Most High said this to Hosea. He said, Hosea 5:15, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. Right? Because we the ones that offended. You see? We offended. So the Most High turned his face from us. Alright, and put us in captivity. Alright, to correct us. Alright. Most High said he will correct us in measure. You see? Excuse me. Back in Leviticus 26 and 43. Well, actually, that's it. Let's jump down. Leviticus 26 and 45. Yeah, I want to get that. Shalakia. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, again, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their power. I am Yahweh. These are the statutes and judgments and laws. All right, these are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahweh made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. You cannot get around that, man. You cannot disregard that. And remember, the Most High changed not. His Son only changed. So, where you get this all nations can be saved at? Alright. I saw a doctrine of men. Because even in the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter. Alright, we're going to go down. Hebrews 8. I'm going right to the point because, you know, guys like Vocab Malone and, you know, these other bug outs that's in the plantation Christianity and these theologians, they just believe the Most High is going to save any and everybody. When they're going to come to find out that no, the Most High is going to save the children of Israel. Point blank, period. And the elect of the children of Israel. But eventually, all Israel will be saved because the 2/3 are going to come back through the loins of the 1/3, beginning with the elect of the 1/3. So, with that being said, Hebrews 8 in verse 6. But now had he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Well, you know, we broke the laws, commandments, and statutes. The whole covenant we broke. All Israel. Alright? So we had fault. That's why I said had been faultless. If it had been faultless, right? But it wasn't. The Most High found fault with us. We couldn't keep it. It says, for if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. You know, acknowledging the split that came between us after King Solomon died. You had the time of Rehoboam and Jeroboam, when the nation was split, right? If you come from the so-called Negro tribes, so-called black tribes, all right, you would be of the house of Judah. All right, if you're so-called Latino or Hispanic, so-called Native American, or so-called indigenous to America, all right, you will be of the house of Israel. Okay. Verse 9. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, of Mizraim, because they continue not my covenant, and I regard them not, said the Lord. Yeah, we broke the covenant. And we broke the covenant. The Lord turned his face from us. See? Verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind, and write them in their hearts. I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. So, there you go, man. Still, the new covenant went to, all right, the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, verse 11. Because I got to read on down to the end of this, right? Verse 11. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness and their sins, and their iniquities will I remember no more. And then he said, a new covenant he had made, the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. All right, so the point is, all right, that new covenant, okay, still pertains to who? Us Israelites. And if you could, like I said, if you can understand the Gentiles, all right, in the New Testament that Paul was teaching and bringing into remembrance that they were Israelites, then you can clearly see, all right, only if Yahweh shall open your spiritual eyes up to receive, all right, that mystery, all right. Why would the Lord save anybody else when they're not in trouble or not in they're not in turmoil like us? They're not enduring, all right, the curses that we had to endure. You see. Anyways, Lord willing, you were edified. Hopefully this lesson been edifying to your spirit. And with that, I'm gonna close. Shalom. Until next time.